So the Indian squad for the T20 World Cup has been announced, and as expected, Rohit will lead and Hardik Pandya will be his deputy. And I'll just read out all the other names. So it's Rohit Sharma captain, Yashasvi Jaiswal, Virat Kohli, Sky, Rishabh Pant, Sanju Samson, Hardik Pandya, Shivam Dube, Ravindra Jadeja, Akshar Patel, Kuldeep Yadav, Yuzvendra Chahal making a comeback, Arshdeep Singh, Jasprit Bumrah, and Mohammad Siraj. So these are the 15 names, and you have 4 players in the reserves, which are Shubman Gill, Rinku Singh, Khalil Ahmed, and Avesh Khan. So, Ayaz, initial thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's a good team because they've tried to kind of get the composition and the balance right. You've got a left-arm fast bowler, you've got more options in the fast bowling. Amongst the spinners, maybe 3 of a kind, left-arm spin. Yeah. You know, you got Kuldeep, Akshar, and Jadeja. But remember, Kuldeep is also a wrist spinner. So in that sense, he's a little different from Akshar and Jadeja. But I do feel for guys like Ruturaj Gaikwad, who's been in roaring form for Chennai. He's also played for India. He's played for India in the Asian Games, and some guys like Abhishek Sharma and Riyan Parag, who've been performing splendidly. You know, and it's just that the batting lineup from 1 to 8 is so chock-a-block that to break through or make a get a look in becomes extremely difficult. And you also needed the bowlers in amongst the reserves to make sure that you kind of in the longest tournament you don't feel their absence. You can be packed with batsmen, and that's where I think the selectors and the team management have thought that you need this that spread. Well, amongst the playing reserves, you got some bowlers and stuff like that.
Yeah. While I was doing my research for this, so I spent 10-15 minutes online, and a lot of anger seems to be directed at the BCCI for not including Rinku Singh in the main squad. So do you think it's, I mean, for all he's done for India and in the IPL, do you think it's a bit unfair to Rinku in particular?
So I think what has happened is guys like Shivam Dube, who's in the squad, and he's got that kind of similar ability, so to speak. And you got Samson, Pant. I mean, if they both play together, Hardik Pandya, who are all the kind of finishers that you need. My only concern would be for any team that you choose. When you look at the Indian team now, is the last 3 or 4 batsmen last 3 or 4 in the lineup or in the playing 11 who actually don't have very strong batting credentials.
Yeah.
So and the trend now seems to be towards all teams having guys at number 9 and 10 also who can contribute with runs with the bat, because that can give you the kind of big the big push from 190 to 210 to 15, which could be a winning total, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I mean, Rinku Singh could have been, since he was a part of the team earlier. But I don't know whether Anirudh, a traveling reserve is in fact not a part of the team. When you take a traveling reserve all the way to the West Indies and the US, you're taking that. They've been allowed because the journey time is too long. Suppose somebody gets injured to fly, and somebody and get used to overcome the jet lag might take a long time. So you got those players there. Now, on what grounds you can make those substitutions is we'll have to read the fine print. But I'm pretty sure that these things are adjustable, if I might use that word.
Yeah. And as for the internet, if you lose some, you win some. Sanju Samson is finally in the team. A lot of fans will be happy with that. And do you think it was sort of expected? Like the debate was over Virat Kohli, but do you think a somewhat similar batter like KL Rahul could have been sidelined to bring in Samson and Pant, who can be both explosive?
Yeah, I mean, look, there was such a huge competition for places for the wicketkeeper slot.
Yeah.
Now, all these wicketkeepers are also specialist batsmen. Whether it's Sanju Samson or Rishabh Pant, and in fact, KL Rahul was a specialist batsman who kind of exploited the situation of not having, because the wicketkeeper was needed. He brought in another skill set for his own cricketing, acceptability, so to speak. So it's unfortunate that there were so many players vying for the same slot. So obviously, in a long tournament like this, you need 2. You don't need 6 wicketkeeper batsmen. So the margin separating one from the other is very narrow. But I think Rishabh Pant, I think we discussed this also in one of the programs. He's got that X factor. Sanju Samson has been around, in and out of the team. I think he deservedly needs to be there. He's been very good, Nick. And I would have actually thought even as a specialist batsman alone, he should be in the team. But obviously, this comes at a cost. It comes at the cost of guys like Ruturaj Gaikwad and Riyan Parag, and Abhishek Sharma, who've been absolutely marvelous. I think what has perhaps kind of influenced the selection is not just what players have done in this current IPL, because there's so much data and facts and figures which you have to sift through, but also how they've done in the recent past. When I say recent past, maybe a year, 2 years, and how they are perceived as players who might perform on the big stage when there's somehow the capacity to absorb pressure and how to come out of tight situations. I think that's been perhaps the logic which has been applied.
Yeah. And lastly, you were talking about the batting strength or lack of batting strength towards the bottom order, the bowlers. I want to talk about the bowling, yes, especially the fast bowling. Do you think it somewhere lacks as compared to other teams? We don't know all the scores, but somewhere it seems like we have four spinners. But do you think this pace lineup, except for Bumrah, seems a bit lackluster?
That's a bit of a vulnerability as we stand today, as we talk, because Bumrah has been in excellent form. He's been the pick of the bowlers in the IPL. There's nobody who's been better than him. Siraj has been, very expensive. Arshdeep, not quite what he showed in the previous 2 seasons. And I think the biggest factor here will be Hardik Pandya's form.
Yeah.
Because he's got the rich experience of having played for almost a decade, and he's got the repertoire. He can bowl really quick. He can bowl 140 clicks plus, and he's got all kinds of variations which he brings into his play. So, if he is not in top form, then there's going to be an issue. Mohammad Siraj has been, because he's a very feisty player, also has a lot of experience, and he's got that never say die attitude. So, but in terms of fast playing, yes, I mean, you look at some of the other pace attacks, you wonder India's as well equipped, leaving aside Bumrah. So that is something that they have to work out. But in terms of having enough match winners, I think Bumrah, Kuldeep, and Chahal. Now, how many matches Chahal gets to play as a wrist spinner, as a leg spinner, remains to be seen. But bowling is something that India needs to work on. And remember, the 3-4 batsmen, if the three players don't contribute too much to the total, then the top 7, 8 have to compensate for that.
Yeah. So yeah, this was a quick episode just on the World Cup squad, and we'll keep bringing you the IPL coverage as we do regularly. So yeah, that's it for this episode of Sports Room. We'll see you next time.